Let's take a look at topic 7.1, example 2. We are given sine of theta equals 24 over 25, and we want to find the remaining trig ratios. Well, we know that sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So I know my opposite leg is 24, and the hypotenuse is going to be 25. Let's sketch that out. So I'm going to draw a right triangle. If we're using trig, we are using right triangles. And we'll just drop it in there. And I'll put sine, let's put sine up here, sine of theta, we'll put theta here, excuse me. You could also put it here, just to understand your opposite and adjacent legs would change. We know that the hypotenuse has measure 25. And the opposite side has measure 24. So here is opposite. And it is the adjacent that we don't know. So if I know two sides of a right triangle, I can use the Pythagorean theorem to determine the measurement of the missing side. So remember, the Pythagorean theorem is you take your legs, A has to be a leg, B has to be a leg. It doesn't matter which order you put these in, just make sure that they are legs, equals the hypotenuse squared. So here, well, let's just do this. We've got, we'll call it A. We don't know this one. We'll go A squared. We'll say this one's B, so 24 squared equals hypotenuse squared, 25 squared. So if I start expanding this out, A squared, 24 squared is 576, 25 squared is 625. And now let's subtract 576 from both sides. A squared equals 49. And then if I want to get rid of that square, the inverse of a square is a square root. We'll take the square root of both sides. Equals the square root of 49. And notice I didn't do plus minus here. We're looking for distance, so we're looking for the principal square root, always going to be positive. A equals 7. So that means this side is 7. So now let's do our trig ratios. We'll go ahead, we'll start out with sine. Sine of theta is, this is what we were given. 24 over 25. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent would be the side that we found. So that is 7. And the hypotenuse is 25. Tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. So 24 is opposite, adjacent is 7. And now let's do the reciprocal identities. The reciprocal of sine of theta is cosecant. Cosecant of theta, flip your fraction, 25 over 24. And now here, reciprocal of cosine is secant. Secant of theta equals 25 over 7. And then the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent. And flip your fraction, 7 over 24. Done. Now example 3 is coming from the textbook. It is a kind of a word problem. And you're told that you have a 20-foot wall. So let's start sketching in. We're going to have a 20-foot wall. So this is 20 feet. And it says that the sun is up here and the sun is shining down. Here's my sun shining down, and it makes an angle of 60 degrees with the ground. So this is going to be theta, and we'll just put it over here. Theta equals 60 degrees with the ground. And so this is the shadow. What's on the ground here? This is the shadow that the wall is casting. And it wants us to find the distance of that shadow. So let's see what we have here. We have an angle measurement and we have a leg measurement. This, of course, is a right triangle. So if I look at this, here's my angle. This is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. So what trig ratio uses opposite and adjacent? Well, I'm going to go with tangent. So that means I can write this as tangent. Theta is 60 degrees equals opposite 20 over, I don't know, the unknown. And so now I have to solve for x. So to get x out of the denominator, opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by x. Here they're going to reduce out, and I get tangent of 60 degrees equals 20. Excuse me, x times the tangent of 60 degrees equals 20. This is multiplication. To undo multiplication, I use division. I'm going to divide out what I don't want there. Just tangent of 60 degrees. And so now I am left with x equals 20 divided by the tangent of 60 degrees. And this is where you grab a calculator. And depending on what calculator you're using, on ones like this, or if you're using Desmo Scientific, you should be able to enter it in just as you see it. Some calculators, FYI, if you have a trig function that you're putting in, you need to put the angle measure in and then hit your trig button. So for this, I'm literally just going to pop in 20 divided by, here's my tangent key, tangent, it starts a parenthesis, I'm going to put 60 in, close the parenthesis, equals, and we'll round this to the nearest tenth, so we are going to call this 11.5, don't forget units, feet. So this is 11.5 feet. That is the length of our shadow.